Hello there, very good evening and welcome to another edition of Face to Face. We've been discussing the current situation in Sri Lankan politics. Of course, today we focus a little bit on a matter that concerns your liberty, your rights and your freedoms. We're speaking in general about the law here in Sri Lanka and how with this political turmoil that has come about, coupled with, of course, the economic crisis, how has the rule of law been in Sri Lanka, and how has, of course, the situation affected your rights, your freedoms, and your liberties? To discuss these matters and much more, we've got with us Attorney at Law Jagath Abeynayake. He is an executive committee member of the Colombo NPP Lawyers Collective. A very good evening, Mr. Abeynayake, and welcome to the show. So, to begin with, of course, I believe it was the President recently at the Young Lawyers Conference that he hosted, known as What Next. He said that there are about 40 new laws that have been passed to date, and there are 60 more to come. Now, maybe to a person who is not very conversant in the legal field, 60 laws would mean, it's a small amount of laws, but that is a massive amount of changes to the legal system in Sri Lanka, which requires, of course, new systems to be put in place. It depends on whether it's a substantive or procedural change in the law, but it's big change. So, is this change that is being brought about in Sri Lanka's legal sphere? I know it's a very broad question, but where does this seem to be taking Sri Lanka? Is it towards greener pastures, or is it a case of one step forward, two steps back?
I will refer to my area of law, for example, criminal law.
Okay.
Now you can bring in new laws. You can bring in that will indicate that there's a change going on. But what do you mean by new law? What do you mean by new? Now, for example, if you take now the most recent act, Online Safety Act. Now they have introduced new offences which are not there before. What do you mean new offence? New offence means you are introducing some sort of curtailment on the individual conduct. That is some kind of curb on the individual freedom. Why you are bringing in that? Why you are curtailing the freedom of the individual? That is the main question that you should address yourself. I think now, for example, this particular act, there are offences which we know as overbroad offences. Now you take a particular conduct and you say that you can't do this, that, and the other, right? Anything under the sun and the moon can be brought under that offence. You understand? So there is no actual progress in the area of freedom, whereas the curtailment is there. Therefore, if the government is trying to introduce, let's say, 40 new or 40 amended laws, that doesn't mean that we are developing in that area. We have to consider each and every individual law and what is it doing here at this moment. Therefore, we cannot say it is a development in the law.
So there were many amendments, speaking about your specific area of law, many criminal amendments that were brought in. Like you said, the Online Safety Act. Now they're looking at bringing in the Anti-Terrorism Act, which is still not passed, of course, but it's in the process, it's in the pipelines there. So these two are some of the more controversial amendments. Of course, we must say that there were certain amendments brought to the penal code in which children were also included in the category of sexual assault. Young males were also included. There were some amendments brought those. But as a whole, when you see the amendments that are being brought to the criminal aspect of the law, what is your take on that?
Yeah, improving the freedom, individual freedom of this country. Right now, it is coming back from the back door. You understand? Now, for example, this online safety bill. What about the print media? What about the electronic media? What about other medias? Right? This is why I said that if there should be a law, it should be reasonable. It should not be redundant. It should serve a purpose. That is how we should evaluate it, whether people would accept it. There are laws that people on day-to-day basis they violate, and law enforcement authorities they don't keep an eye on these violations.
They can't.
They cannot manage. You know, this is how a law get what you call validity. The people have to accept it. People have to follow it. You draw a zebra line across the road, and people don't use it. People would go across the road a few meters away from that, because that was their convenience. You know, this is how it is negotiated. You have to see from the point of view of the people, from the point of view of the general society. That is how you deliberate laws. Not because you have somebody to control, not because you have to control somebody's behavior. You don't bring laws like that. You know, not in the criminal area anyway.
Well, since you're representative of the NPP and a lawyers collective affiliated to a political party, I will pose to you this question. Now, the JVP, which is the larger party within the NPP, is known as a socialist party, a far left-leaning party. However, towards the recent times with the rebrand under the National People's Power Movement after forming the alliance, they have come more towards the centre left in that spectrum, of course. But there are still concerns among the general public, and of course your opponents keep on nitpicking at these concerns and highlighting them, that come a time when there is a government of the NPP, or the NPP does secure power in parliament or at a presidential election, that this entire system that we're used to, which is an open market economy to a certain degree after the 1978 constitutions, our freedoms, our luxuries, our assets, all of those will be bulldozed, and Sri Lanka will be taken towards what I believe was described as a utopian society or more socialist structure. Is this true? How far is this true? Is this even possible?
No, this is not true. This is not true. This is what I call. Now, what they do is they're not posing any kind of criticism. What they're doing is they're slinging mud. Actually, we don't think that in the NPP there is a single person who would believe in complete socialist utopia.
Right.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
What the present crisis that we have to address has nothing to do with dogmatic socialist theories or any other application of extreme economic measures. What we right now need here is something more. I mean, if I use the word liberal, it would go down as a technical term. I don't like to use that, but more. Let me say
progressive.
More progressive development, somewhere in between. So what we are trying to do is to bring back the country onto the back of the development. To move forward, to develop the production of this country, to bring back the foreign money that we have been losing. Right. In the meantime, we would also say that we would have to negotiate the debt problem. So we can't do it. We can't do it going
in isolation.
Overboard. Going overboard with our political views. We can't do that. So you have to. There are principles, there are theories, there are strategies, and there are also programs. Right now, NPP is interested in bringing the immediate problems to our concern and to have some kind of solution to that, and also bring back the usual life that we used to spend. That is our main and prime objective right now. We will think about it. If the people would decide that this should be done, it has to be done. For the people who are criticizing us on this point, I would like to say, study our program, which has been released to public, which is everywhere. You can read that. Find me one single point that would be directing to this utopian concept. I don't think there's a single line. I don't think there's a single line.
So, for the longest time, one of the issues of the JVP was, of course, the fact that the people really didn't understand what they say, that the people really didn't take enough time to listen to what they have to say. But now, since the people are frustrated, if you will, with the current political setting, with the advent of the economic crisis, they are more open to listening, they are more interested in listening to what you have to say. So do you believe that the NPP programs that you spoke about, the agendas that you spoke about, that the NPP has for the country, has been released sufficiently enough? Because, of course, I do understand that the election has not yet been announced, so your party has not put out a manifesto of sorts. But when you say go read our programs, go read our agendas, what do you mean?
Yeah, my answer was directing to the people who are posing criticism. Now there is a general public. There is the normal people who we meet day to day. In fact, if you take the political parties, if you take the political front of this country today, NPP is the most close to the people. NPP is the most frequent visitors to the people. We infiltrate ourselves into the minds of the people, individually and in small discussions.
But there are those who believe that this is just another wave, just like there was a wave for Gotabaya Rajapaksa in 2019. I think no one would have really foreseen the turn of events that would come following his appointment as president. I believe tomorrow there's going to be a book released by the former president himself indicating a conspiracy, an international conspiracy to oust him from power. So, of course, we will see what he has to say on that point. But nobody really foresaw, or nobody would have even expected, like, if we could travel back in time to 2019 and tell a person there who was maybe painting a wall on the street, or a youth who was very openly supportive of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, that this president will one day be thrown out by an uprising of the people, that would have caused a stir back in the day. So there are those who say that what the NPP is experiencing right now, or this massive rise in support of the NPP, that some claim is only on social media, by the way, is because of this wave, and not because the NPP is substantially capable of doing anything or has substantially done anything for that matter.
First, I will discuss the wave that created the Aragali situation.
Not the Aragali, I mean the wave that I referred to was for Gotabaya Rajapaksa to come into power.
That's right. There was a wave for the Gotabaya Rajapaksa to come into power.
Yes.
Then it turned out to be another wave of throwing him away from the power.
So you're saying the same people who supported him were the ones who rose up to throw him out?
Now there was this problem. Our country had a serious economic problem which was growing under our feet. We didn't notice. The general public didn't notice. And everybody else knew. Actually, all politicians knew that we were going to face 2023 or 22 or 24 a big problem because of this economic debt and other economic situation. Now this was growing. Everybody was aware.
I think Dr. Harsha De Silva and Sajid Premadasa brought this to the attention of Parliament back in 2020.
That's right.
Fresh after the appointment of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Yeah. So it was not something turning a wave back. It was something which was always there, lurking behind. It was looming against us, right? Only some people didn't notice. Now we have seen the worst. Now we have seen the worst. Our promise is that the people would not suffer worse than this. That is our idea. That is our promise. Now, there should be this can be a wave. Yes, we can't deny that. But this wave has some substance in it. This time the people are up against the wall. They have no other way to turn to. Right? That is how these waves are created. Right? Now, if we have a program, if we have faith of the people in us, then we are able to bring in something. That is what we are working with. That is why we are working with people, not with anybody else. We have faith in people, and people has to have faith in us. That is the only way that we can go ahead from here. This is something new. This has never happened in Sri Lanka before. The faith in the people and the faith in a political program. It is not a charisma of an individual. It is not the charisma of a group of people. But it is something that is novel and that is promising, and that the people have laid their trust. So it is not just another wave. It's not something bloated out. It is natural. It is natural, logical result of a series of events. Right down 7 decades or more.
What about the concern raised by, of course, again, your opponents and some factions in the general public also share this concern that we can't afford to really experiment with a new political party that has never been in power before. We cannot experiment with a person who has not at the very least, been an opposition leader or the prime minister of the country before. We just can't experiment right now. We can't afford that. What would be your response to them?
What is the alternative?
So because there is no alternative, vote for the NPP?
For experimenting, if there is no alternative, you have to experiment. That is for experimenting. What you have to consider is not that you are going to do something new. What you have to consider is not something that you are not going to. What you have to consider is that whether the thing that you are going to do would give you the desired result. Whether you are prepared to carry out the things that is required to bring in that result. That is what you have to be considered. Concerned with. New things happen that way. If you are afraid of new things, no change can come. Every new thing is like that. Now, when we gain so-called freedom in 1948, who was our prime minister? Would you mean to say that there was a new experiment there? Therefore, we should not have gone for that prime minister. We would have had the same old British governor. Is that what you're going to say? No. Experiments have to be there. People who has bold enough to experiment have brought this comfortable life to us. We have to be thankful to that. So let's have another leap. If you are afraid of change, you do not deserve any benefit of that. You have to be. Now you cannot get into a bus and get to your destination if you don't believe in the driver that he would do his job correctly. We have to trust somebody in our lives. This life is impossible without trust in each other. You can't do something simple like that. You can't get to your destination through a bus. It is like that. Therefore, the people, if you say that the people should not experiment with new leaders, experiment with new programs, experiment with new changes, that people do not deserve development.
Well, moving forward, I don't know how far you will be able to answer this question, but this came up during a discussion that I was having with a group of my colleagues, of course. And when the issue of what kind of policies they would prefer came up, and we were discussing individual policies of different parties, the NPP came up. And regarding the education policies of the NPP and how the NPP has been so averse or been so against private education here in Sri Lanka came up. I've discussed this matter with Dr. Harini and various other representatives of the NPP, but I would like to pose the question to you too, because there is this, of course, concern again on the general public that already, although we don't have a massive promotion of private education institutes in Sri Lanka, there are a considerable number of private education institutes in Sri Lanka, and also under the government of Ranil Wickremesinghe now they are looking to expand that even further, opening up state universities to foreign students as well, and there are those who believe that that is the right path to go. But I won't hold you to an answer on this matter, but if you can, where does the NPP stand on that front?
We believe in education where the private enterprises are not blocked out.
Not blocked out?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Education should be decided. Education, the curriculum of education, and who teach that, and where it should be taught, and what facilities should be provided for that education, I think is a state affair. The state has to decide that what to teach, who to teach, and how it should be taught, and where it should be taught. So state has to decide that. You cannot say that curriculum should be thrown into the private sector for them to decide. Now we have a system of examination. We have a system of curriculum development. This is all done by the government.
But then the problem really there is our government system is so slow. It works at such a snail pace that we haven't really developed even since the 1995. We still continue to memorize everything, even for a subject as developed and complex as mathematics. We're still not allowed to even take a calculator for an exam, and that's such a backward mindset. So do you think that the state still should be involved in all of this?
That is what is needed. You have to change. You have to bring in vigorous changes in the area of education. Now, we will start with having more funds pumped into the education, because education is our future. If we have plans for other things, we should have plans for education. Otherwise, we can't carry out all those other plans, because we are dealing with humans here directly. We are dealing with the development of the humans, the development of the individual. Right? We are making a man who is suitable for our requirements, for our society. This is all artificial job, but it has to be done. It has to be done by the leader, by leading by the state. And everybody can come in with their two penny, but they can chip in with their investments, right? But like I said, it has to be all. Every student should face similar examinations under similar circumstances. That is what we are after. We are not after state authority or state monopoly of education. What we said, there should be a state monopoly on certain decisions as for the curriculum.
So you're saying set up a strong regulator, is that what you're saying?
It has to be a regulatory body. Right throughout the country, people should be taught the same thing. One set of people would preparing for London examinations, while other set of people are preparing for local examinations.
That's all right.
That is okay. That is okay under the regulation of the government.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to regulate. That is what I said. That what I believe in is that the education, decision making of the education is a state affair. You can't deny that.
But of course,
Nowhere in the world, that part has been given to the private sector.
Right. I think, of course, there will be more clarity on this matter when the NPP puts out their manifesto, and then matters will be more in black and white.
Definitely.
If you will, in those documents. We can, of course, compare them with the manifestos that the other political parties put out, so that it will be easier for the general public, you, our viewers, to decide, to make an informed decision of what you want your future, your children's future, and the future of this country to be. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Jagath Abeynayake, executive member of the Colombo NPP Lawyers Collective, for joining us on our program this evening. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there for tuning in to another episode of Face to Face. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.